President Trump says a deal to end the war in Gaza could be close. Now, this comes after U.S. Special Envoy Steve Witkoff revealed that Trump presented a 21-point peace plan during meetings with Muslim leaders at the UN General Assembly earlier this week. So joining me now is Washington Stand reporter Casey Harper, who has been following this story. Casey, what can you tell us about President Trump's peace plan?
Yeah, well, thank you, Tony. President Trump met at the White House today with the Turkish president. And during that meeting, the president said that the ongoing talks between the U.S. and key Middle East leaders are making progress. That includes Saudi Arabia, Qatar, the UAE, and Jordan.
I think we can get that one done. I hope we can get it done. A lot of people are dying. But we want the hostages back. We don't want them back one this week, one in 2 months from now, 3 later, and, you know, like the way it's been going. We got them all back. We got a lot of them back. We got the American Alexander. We got the American hostages back.
Now, Trump also said he still needs to meet with Israeli officials and emphasized that returning hostages remains a top priority. It's important to note that President Trump made these comments while sitting next to the Turkish president, who recently referred to Hamas not as a terrorist group, but as a resistance movement. Of course, Hamas is officially designated as a terrorist organization by both the U.S. and Israel. Now, after meeting with Arab leaders at the UN, U.S. Special Envoy Steve Witkoff, as you said, and along with President Trump, presented a 21-point peace plan for Gaza during talks with Muslim leaders at the General Assembly earlier this week. At the UN, several countries recognized a Palestinian state. However, President Trump and others have emphasized that granting statehood at this moment would effectively reward Hamas for the October 7th attack, Tony.
Again, as I've said before, I absolutely agree with that. Congressman John McGuire of Virginia will join me shortly to discuss this meeting between President Trump and Erdoğan. Now, on a different topic, Casey, a Quinnipiac poll shows growing worry about democracy and political violence in the United States. What's behind these fears?
Yeah, this is kind of an alarming poll, Tony. This poll shows growing pessimism across the country, with 53% of Americans saying democracy in the U.S. is, quote, not working, while 41% say it is. Now, this divide is sharply along party lines. 74% of Democrats believe the system's broken, compared to just 22% of Republicans. However, 79% of Americans overall say the U.S. is in political crisis, Tony.
Well, a lot to be praying about when we look at the division that's in this nation. I want to go to another topic in D.C. Or in the Virginia area. There's reports that the newly sworn-in U.S. Attorney for the Eastern District of Virginia, Lindsay Halligan, is preparing to ask a grand jury to indict the former FBI Director, James Comey. What do we know about this?
Yeah, it's a big update, Tony. Right. So the former FBI Director, James Comey, he could soon be indicted for allegedly lying to Congress. The prosecutors are expected to present the case to a grand jury in Virginia this week. But of course, Comey was a key figure in the Russia probe and a longtime Trump critic. He's faced growing calls from Republicans to be held accountable. President Trump himself has urged swift action, saying justice must be served now. So this case is being reviewed by, as you said, the newly appointed U.S. Attorney Lindsay Halligan after concerns that the previous prosecutor was stalling.
Casey, one more item, and that is the latest on the efforts to fund the government. How's that going?
Well, everyone's watching it, and of course you are closely, but the White House is ordering federal agencies to prepare for large-scale layoffs if the government shuts down next week. So in a memo released Wednesday night, the Office of Management and Budget instructed agencies to consider cutting jobs and programs that would lose funding and don't align with the president's priorities. Democrats continue to oppose a clean funding bill that the House passed last week, raising the stakes for a potential shutdown, Tony.
Yeah, what's interesting, Casey, is the president in a shutdown can determine what stays open, what doesn't, what gets funded.
That's right.
And I think this was really kind of a negotiation move saying, hey, you guys want to shut it down? Go right ahead, because this is what we're going to do. Would not be surprised if this brings the Democrats to the table. Casey, thanks so much. Appreciate you joining us.